Hello, everyone. Welcome to class. Thank you for joining us. I'm Rachel Siegel from Sam's Bead Shop, and I'm here with Meredith Roddy from Beadalon, and we are going to make some jewelry today.
Yay. I'm
Could you
so
tell
excited
us about this project?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. And hello, BD friends. This is great. Tucson has been great. It is so beautiful out here and warm.
It is so
and
warm
fantastic. And the bead shopping and all of the amazing, wonderful friends old friends to catch up with and new friends to make has been a really, really special time. So this project today is one of my new favorite projects.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if you do this, Rachel, but like I cycle through my favorite projects or my favorite materials or my favorite techniques. And this has actually, since this time last year in Tucson, has still through the whole year been a favorite of mine. So I'm really excited to be using some materials from Sam's Bead Shop and some wire from Beadalon and to make our project today. And what we're doing is a very simple, deceptively simple, I promise, deceptively simple prong setting for. Usually you prong set a gemstone, right? And we'll talk and we'll show a little bit of the gemstones also. But I love the Czech glass buttons. I always have. And one of the things that I always loved about coming to Tucson is being able to source them and to find them and to see them, to touch them.
Oh, stunning.
But you guys have a ton of them in your shop.
Yeah, and
right?
we just launched a bunch of new ones today that we're so excited about.
And I've seen them, and they're really the one that we're working on today is absolutely is my I think my favorite of the bunch. Although I kind of like this one too. We'll show that in a second. I know we're not showing it yet.
We'll get to that in a moment.
So we're going to do a really simple prong set bezel setting for a 27 millimeter. Am I making that
yes,
up?
I think that's right. For the button size. Yeah.
But the cool thing about this technique is it can go smaller. It can go larger. It can go in an oval. It can go in, I don't know, a square. Like it's very versatile once you learn the technique. And I actually learned the technique from my beady friend Jem Hawks, who is an amazing wire worker in her own right. So I always credit her with teaching me the technique that I'm now hopefully going to teach to you.
That's wonderful. I mean, I'm excited about this because when I hear prong setting, I think I need like a torch and solder and like 100%. Ventilation and just like an entire studio. But like we can just do this with basic pliers.
100%. And it only takes practically a scrap of wire.
Okay, so let me pull this up. No, people need to see what we're talking about.
So perfect. So this is what we're going to be making today. So with this gorgeous Czech glass button in the middle. And we're going to do this really, like I'm going to say it over and over again, deceptively simple prong setting and just a really simple back. I did not cut the shank off of the button. I didn't know if we were going to need to talk about it in another way. And I felt like cutting it off was real final.
But you might have done that.
But if and when I do come to finish this, I would probably cut the shank of the button off.
I guess, it just doesn't get caught on anything.
And or, it might be a little pokey in the back. But you can see here on the back that bring that nice and close to the camera. That's how
we show it. Wait, flip it over. Let's see that up close to the front. What a cool way to like have your button be front and center in the design. Because oftentimes people use them in clasps, and so they can get a little bit hidden. But this is going to be like right in the. Oh, this is so cool.
And I'm showing this as part of a finished necklace. But really what I want to do is ring. I'm not, and that's where that shank could be helpful in making that into a ring.
You would still do the prong setting, but then use that to attach your ring.
Probably.
Or I don't know. It's part of a braid. I guess I don't know.
That's another class for another day.
So many ideas.
But instead of doing a seed bead bezel the way that we did last year. I
know this is like deja vu in a way.
Right.
Yeah. A year ago in Tucson, you joined me at our Tucson Airbnb. And we did a bead weaving project with the Cabochon with the button. I love this
guy so much. He makes me so happy.
I was so happy when I found it. I was like, yes, I still have it a year later.
So a totally different effect, right? Totally different style. If you're like seed bead weaving is not my jam. But you're really into wire work. That's great for you. And if you want to explore something new, try a new skill, we're gonna go ahead and get started with that, right? Okay,
cool.
So let me put that aside.
Well, thank you for making us a part of your Tucson this year. We're so happy to have you.
I am so happy to be here. We'll make this an annual
That's
a
my goal.
tradition, if you will, right?
It's already one for me. So I guess let's talk materials.
Okay.
So the key thing is the button, right? Or the focal. So this button that we're using is golden. It's vitriol. Like it's stunning. All of them here. You want to hold up that full tray. These are all 27 millimeters in size. I chose a collection of a bunch of different colors and styles. So which one is calling your eye today?
So the one that we're working with, actually, if you hadn't pulled that one extra one out, I would have gone right to this one. But I will say I really like this one also.
That one looks like, I don't know, something I'd find in like an antique shop, especially like that design.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have not seen this one before. I think that's why my eye is drawn to it.
Yeah.
This design I've seen before. These ones are kind of a typical what I might think of when I was thinking of a Czech glass button.
Yeah.
This one I have not seen before. And so that's what's really drawing my eye. And these
some people might have noticed. Yeah, there's some other things that
Those
are
beautiful.
so shiny here. So yeah, we launched some Lab Cabochons. These ones are the coin. We also have the teardrop. And so, yeah, it's a flat back. There's no hole, which can be a bit intimidating for us as, folks who work with beads. And so I think this class will be helpful.
Yep. Once you learn what we're doing today, you're going to race and want to add tons and tons of these to your stash. And not just keep them in your stash, but actually use them.
Yes.
All right. So you're ready to talk other materials?
So this is key.
So key is wire, right?
Yeah.
So I am doing these prong sets with wire, and I'm going to do the prongs with 20 gauge, and I'm using German style wire. This is a half hard copper core gold color wire with a tarnish resistant coating on top.
Okay.
And then for this back part here, I'm using a 26 gauge, and nobody's going to see this. I just happen to have not grabbed a 26 gauge in gold. So we're just going to
go with silver,
and no one will know. And it'll be a good contrast, actually. So it will film better.
Perfect.
Usually I like to match my metals. I try to go outside my comfort zone and mix my metals, but I'm usually not sure. Okay.
And I'm glad we have this example with the silver plating. And now we're going to see how the gold prongs look.
Yes, exactly. And you really only need, I was telling Rachel before we started here, just a scrap of wire to do this. So I'm going to, we got it. Time to get to work.
How do you, this is just made me think. How do you store your wire, after you take it out of these?
That's actually a really good question. And Rachel, while I'm talking about that, can you grab my bag? Because I just need to get my glasses out of it. That's the one thing that I didn't grab beforehand.
No worries.
Okay, so what I do, honestly, is I take these. No, not these. They're on the inside. They're just right here. Perfect. Thank you. The most important tool in the toolbox. This is what I do to store my wire, right? I write what it is. I say 20 gauge and German style.
Okay.
And I put them in these 4x4 bags.
Yeah.
That's
and then easy to take on the go, easy to grab whatever you need. Yeah.
And then if I have a lot of them, I'll actually use is it a binder ring? The ones that open and close back up again and snap together.
Oh my gosh.
Then I'll put them.
You can have a whole binder of
100%. Yeah. Binder rings.
Yeah.
And then, then I have, it may be silver color in all of the gauges or, whatever, if I'm working on something for a specific project.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I had to ask.
Yeah, no, 100%. And actually I struggled with that for a while to figure out, because once you take it out of the package, you don't know what the gauge is anymore.
So write it down right away.
Get a little baggie, and it doesn't have to be. I just happen to have these perfect baggies.
Yeah, those are the right size.
But any baggie will do. And so 20 gauge German style wire, and that's how I know. Perfect. Second tip that I have for working with the German style wire is when it comes out of the container, we've got two little zip ties here, obviously to keep it together, so that it doesn't spring out. So keep one zip tie on and snip one zip tie off.
Does it matter which one?
I don't think it.
Okay. You just do either. I mean, you use this all the time, so.
Yeah. I usually do the zip tie at the ends.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It doesn't matter because then once you've done that, the end is gone.
Yeah. Once you start using the wire.
And so now my wire stays nice and neat.
Oh,
it doesn't spring out everywhere or get tangled up.
Yeah.
Okay, pro tip. So now when the wire comes off, we've got these little ends here. So I want my end to be nice and clean, and then I just back it out of that zip tie, right? So I'm gonna back it out like that.
That is that color of that wire.
Isn't it
The
really,
gold
it's a
looks
really pretty
so
gold,
pretty.
yeah. And you need about 18 inches.
Okay.
It's more than enough for this project.
Do you want to measure? You kind of eyeball that?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Do it from here.
I didn't know if that would be helpful.
But everybody always wants to know how much wire, so I'm going to
Yeah.
see 18 inches. But you know, like once you're a wire worker, you just kind of eyeball it.
Yeah.
It's either a wingspan or a half wingspan if you're doing seed bead work. So now what I'm going to do with this wire is I'm going to take a nylon jaw pliers and I'm just going to draw that. I'm going to move these guys out of the way because I'm going to keep hitting them.
Space.
I'm just going to draw it over the wire to straighten it out. It makes it easier to work with, and it also just takes out any little kinks that might be in there. And then I'm just going to snip off a length. And really, this is the only amount of that wire from that bag. So, all right, quick math. If it's 5 meters, right?
Or...
If it's, I think it's 5 meters.
Right? Oh, at the bottom, right?
No, 6 meters. Actually.
More than
so if it's 6 meters or 19.7 feet, let's just say you need 1 foot to do the project. So you can wrap probably, 15 to 18, depending on how big. Yeah, something went in there. All right. So to get started, I'm just going to cut it in half, or cut it. I'm going to fold it.
Okay.
Don't cut it. Don't cut it. Don't cut it. Don't do as I say. Just do as I do. So I'm folding it in half, and it doesn't have to be exactly half. One of your halves is going to end up being a lot longer than the other one. So what we're going to end up doing is actually using the flat nose plier. Can I just see? I just want to make sure that
right there is perfect. Okay, yeah, this camera's right there near like the top of the camera.
Okay, got it. Okay, I just want to make sure that I'm nice and centered.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay. So the tool that I'm using for this is a flat nose plier. So many of us are familiar with, let me just grab it.
Yeah, like the pointier version of that.
A chain nose plier, which is going to be this guy right here. Okay. But now I'm using a flat nose plier, and the flat nose plier is really the star of the show in this project. And you're going to use this flat jaw for all of the wire that we are going to be bending. Okay. So could you do this with a chain nose plier? You could. You'd have to do a lot more measuring. You'd have to be a lot more kind of know your eyeballs. And you'll see why in just a second. The second reason why I'm using this tool is because it has this really cool nylon inner jaw here. These are new tools from Beadalon.
Oh, cool.
And excuse me, with this nylon inner jaw, you saw how I used this tool to straighten that wire. This one does the same thing in one tool.
2-in-1.
And there's a lot of what I call chomping with this project. And so you'll see when I'm doing the chomping, I'm doing it with these nylon jaws. And that makes a big difference. So I'm going to just start over again with a clean piece of wire. And I'm going to use a little bit of a smaller piece of wire just because it's going to be easier to keep my,
just to keep
myself in frame. So I'm going to cross my fingers that I don't run out of wire by the end. I think I'll be okay. I just want to work with a little bit. Okay, so
the lab one is a little smaller if we end up needing that.
If it comes to that.
If it comes to it, we'll use a smaller cab.
We're going to be fine. Cool. Okay, so before when I said to bend it in half, what I really should have been doing is first holding my tool instead of doing it just in half.
Okay.
And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my second best tool after my glasses, which are my fingers, and I'm going to push one up with my thumb and one up with my index finger, whichever fingers work best for you. If, I don't know, you might find a different finger as a better worker bee for this. So now I have two right angles or a double right angle. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start building prongs. So you can see here on my, my piece here, each of these prongs I'm going to build by bending the wire, okay? And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to take my flat nose plier, and this is why the flat nose plier is really, really important. and I'm going to hold it right here. And depending on how tall I want my prongs to be, that's going to determine where I hold it in my pliers. So if I want bigger prongs, maybe I take a Sharpie and I put a line right here. So I know each time I'm going to make my prongs the exact same with that Sharpie. So if you have a thicker stone that you need bigger prongs for, that's what I would do for that. But for this one, I think I'm just going to go right here on the end here.
Okay.
And so once again, with my best tools, I'm going to bend over 90 degrees. Let's get that out of the way so you can see. Okay. Thank you. I know you didn't want me looking at the thing, but it's really helpful for me. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend this down over the top of the pliers again. Okay. So I've made a kind of back on itself bend. And now my goal for this step is going to be to squish that prong together so that it meets itself. Okay.
So your way.
What is all this stuff?
We don't need any of this.
All right. So to do that, I'm going to use a combination of the front of my pliers, being very, very careful when I'm squeezing that together. If I need to come back in here in the nylon jaw part of the pliers, that's a really good place to do my squishies also. But sometimes I need just a little bit more purchase. So I'm going to, and here's where those chomps come in, right? I'm going to bring those two sides together. We're going to do that a whole bunch more times. So we're going to get the gist of it. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those pliers again underneath that prong. And I'm going to use my pointer and a combination of holding my pointer for leverage and bending my wrist to make that prong in the wire. So now I've made my first prong. Okay.
I see that. Okay.
So we're going to do that very same thing with this long wire that's sticking up right now. Okay. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hold it right in the end of my pliers. I'm going to bend it over the top. I'm going to bend it down. I'm going to look, make sure that that's a nice bend, a little neater than the first one. The first one's always the hardest, right? When you're kind of getting your groove, which is why it's a good idea to maybe do a little warm-up work or
go to the gym before you start beading.
Do some stretches, some nice sun salutations. All right, so I'm chomping this. This both work hardens it, but also straightens everything out. Because what I find with my wire work is oftentimes things get a little janky, a little out of whack. But the good thing about working with wire is that you can almost always either fix your mistakes or kind of make those mistakes not mistakes anymore. All right, so next step, just like I did before, I'm going to come down here. I'm going to hold the wire in my pliers, and I'm using kind of a combination of both of my hands. I'm using this finger here to press up, or maybe I come down here with my thumb. That'll do it too. A couple different ways to achieve this, but your goal is to bend this wire so that everything is going in plane. So I'll put that down so you can kind of see what's happening and take this opportunity to get a little drink of water over here.
I think when you did that, like at first I was like, it felt counterintuitive to me that you were holding onto this part of the wire and not there. But I'm realizing it's because you don't want to mess this up, right?
Correct.
Because I was like, wait, why aren't you just holding onto the prong to turn it?
Yep. 100%. And also it's hard to get enough purchase on that prong to get that wire. It can be done.
Okay.
And I have done it that way before. And kind of as I'm going along, you'll be like, wait, Meredith, that's a different way than you showed us.
Mixing it up.
Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And especially what I've learned in wire work is it's okay to mix it up. Yeah. It's okay to do things a little bit of a different way. Sometimes I find doing this a bunch of times, my finger starts to hurt.
Yeah, you might need to adjust how you're holding it.
I'm a little bit of a wuss when it comes to wire work.
You do it all though. You bead weave, you do wire, you do stringing. Like it's amazing. I love it.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I'm a jack of all of the trades and a master of a few.
It's
master
I love
of
your
a
work.
few. All right. So now I'm just going to keep on going.
Okay.
And we're going to take it up to speed and see what happens. And actually I'll kind of show you what happens here. I'm going to hold on to this and then bend it into place. And you're going to see in a second. Did you see how it kind of squished out of plane and now the wire is going back like that? So honestly, not the end of the world, because I'm just going to come in here and kind of push that wire back into place.
Yes. You just aren't able to hold it on as sturdy.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel as good.
Yeah.
To me, I don't think that I get as crisp of a bend either.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna come up and we're gonna get into the rhythm.
Well, if I can ask you while you're doing that, I was curious how you decide the length of each prong. Like, how did you know that would work for this? Or is just trial and error is like best? Or
that's a really good question.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there is a good scientific way of measuring, right? Because if you're looking at the side of the button or the side of the stone, you want to make sure that your prong is going to be long enough to bend over and hold it into place. Could I have made these longer? Sure, they would have just come into the middle more.
Yeah.
Could I have made them shorter? Not really,
okay.
because you need to have enough to hold it in place.
Yeah.
If
it only is on the sides, it doesn't go over it. It won't hold it. It'll just slide out.
Exactly. But what was I going to say? There was a but.
Yeah, it has to get over
so
the top.
what I would do is, if I was being a little bit more meticulous about this, I would measure, right, and then bend it over and just make sure that if it's 6 millimeters or 8 like however many millimeters it needs to be.
So, it needs to be a little bit longer than the sides so that it can.
Or you can just kind of make one and then put it here and be like, yep, that's gonna work.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh yeah, I can see it's definitely sticking up.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
And honestly, once you start doing it a bunch of times, you just kind of know. It's like, intrinsically knowing how much wire.
You just do it all by eye.
Yeah. It just becomes.
By feel.
Yeah.
Also, your nails are fabulous today.
Oh my gosh,
this
thank
was
you
your Tucson
so much.
color of choice.
Actually, so it's funny that you say that. It was not my Tucson color of choice.
It's blue. It's a party.
And the thing about the powder dip nails is they still look brand new, even though
they do. You're like, this is from a long time ago. To me, I'm like, you did this for Tucson, right?
I maybe subconsciously I did it for Tucson.
That's funny.
All right, so now I'm going to come here and I'm going to bend this up. And then I've been working on one side, and I'm going to end up having plenty of wire to do this. But I'm going to go ahead after I squeeze this little prongy friend shut, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to start working on this side. Okay. You could go, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, but it doesn't matter. It's just I kind of reach a point on one side that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to the other side now. And so we're going to start that. You just need to make sure that you have enough wire left to do whatever bail you want to do. And you can be super fancy with your bails. I tend to keep a more less is more approach to my bails. For this one, I need to get your bead to do it. That one. Yeah, I will need one bead. Oh, I have one. Don't cut. Don't cut. Don't cut the strand. I just did a really simple wrap here, and then a bead and another wrap. Really cool. It'll be good to see it.
Yeah, it's not that simple though. You added a bead.
I did.
You made it special.
See, deceptively
simple.
That's what makes it. It just gives it that extra little something. Yeah. And so here I over squeezed, right? I have a little bit kind of coming over here. Again, all you need to do is just give it a little chomp with the pliers, and it takes care of it. That's part of what I love about this technique is that it is very forgiving.
And we're using German style wire, but I think you've mentioned to me you can do this project with German style or your guys's artistic
wire. Yep,
right?
absolutely.
Either one will work. Yep. So whatever you have in your stash, or
either one will work. The German style is going to have a little bit more structure to it, but it's also going to be a little harder on your hands. It's going to be a little harder to work with.
Yeah.
And so I like doing this project with German style wire. I also like doing it with artistic wire. It's kind of one of those, like, what you have in your stash is going to work. I wouldn't recommend going any thicker than 20 gauge if you are just starting out. If you're like, I have super strong hands and 18 gauge is my jam, more power to you. More power to you. But for me, I'm like, 20 gauge is my limit for this. And because you have so many points of contact, the 20 gauge, or even if you wanted to go with a 22 gauge wire, that would be,
you could do that.
I would allow that.
Okay. Especially with, I guess, especially if you're using German style wire, then 22 gauge, you're still getting some structure.
Yep,
and actually, I'll just mention, we just restocked a bunch of our German style wire in the shop in copper, silver, or at least, definitely silver and gold, maybe some copper too. So check that out. You can see our full collection of Beadalon German style wire.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that. We are very grateful.
We do not have that tool. I'm sure people are wondering. We don't currently have that tool. We can look into it.
We can change that.
But what's the name of it if people are searching for it? It is
the nylon inner jaw pliers, or inner jaw nylon. I think it's nylon inner jaw pliers.
Awesome.
All right, so I'm just going back through here and kind of fixing my work. And let's see, I've got now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 prongs. This is when a little bit more math.
Yeah,
how many? So how many prongs are you going to do? Really, it depends on a couple of different things. It depends on how big your stone is, right? Or how big your button is. It depends on how far you have things spaced. This happened to just work out perfectly. I don't know if it's because I've been doing this for a while or if luck is on my side. I did have a little bit of a squish up at the top, but everything kind of righted itself. And that's the other thing I really like about wire work, is once I started working on the back and bringing everything together, everything kind of came out evenly. So for this, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 prongs. Okay. So we're going to go 12 prongs for this one.
Yeah. I'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But also, like, your tension might be different today, or, you might be using a slightly different part of the wire or of the tool.
Exactly. And your tool might be different than mine, right?
Yeah. Especially if you use different type.
It's actually pretty similar, these two heads, but if you were using, a different brand of flat nose pliers, or it's not universal. The diameter or the length of your of these tools. Okay, so up and over.
It's quite helpful to see you do it multiple times, though, just to see your process.
Yeah, and you can also see how quickly this works out.
Really.
All right. So how many did I say that we were going to do?
I want to say 12. That was like 2 minutes ago. Why are you asking me?
A lot has happened since then.
12.
Not counting. Okay, perfect.
Had to double check.
And like for the that oval Labradorite Cabochon there, you might have to go a couple more. Lots of design decisions. Maybe I want my prongs to be a lot further apart. I don't know. It depends.
You're kind of, in some ways, this tool guided you to, because it just gave you that measurement of how far to put each one. But you could have done it, a different length.
100%. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We got 2 more. And I'm just noticing here, okay, if I want to keep these.
How much wire is left on each side?
Yeah. So I think I'm pretty even. So I'm just going to do one more on either side. Let's see if I actually remember to do the one on the other side, or if I go on this side too. We're going to we can take bets and see what happens next. And that's the thing too about wire work, and about how nice it is to do kind of a demonstration like this rather than teaching a class.
Okay.
Because then you kind of get to see how somebody actually does it almost in real time. Rather than, all right, we're going to take we're going to do one step and then make sure everybody in the class got that step. And it kind of, it makes it a little more real. When you're seeing somebody kind of.
Do it from start to end.
And it's a very organic kind of project. And I like that.
Yeah.
It's not not maybe my prongs are a millimeter off from each other, and that's okay.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's going to be your cabochon, your button. That's what people are going to be looking at. I know this is what we're spending all our time on, but that's so that people can see our cabochon.
Yep. All right. So I think that's 12, but we're going to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12. Okay, perfect. So now what we're going to do is we are going to start bending our prongs down. And as I'm bending these prongs down, you're going to see some magic happen. And what's going to happen is my wire is actually going to naturally start bending around to be the curve. So I'm not going to do it now.
Okay.
Excuse me. I learned, like in the beginning, I was taking my bracelet bending pliers and kind of chomping around in the beginning and putting that curve in.
Yeah.
But I found that once I started making the prongs, it was taking it that even closer and closer together. So it's just kind of one of those interesting properties of wire. Once I start bending these guys down, it's going to do it just by magic. It's just going to do it on its own. Okay. And so I'm going to do about a third of the way down. I could measure and, see that I need to do it about that much. Again, this is very much a kind of eyeball it and figure it out as you go project, because each button that you do, each cab that you do, each time you do this is going to be different. So there isn't kind of one magic. It's what you do. A really good tip though is to take a Sharpie and put a little line on your, in fact, I think I have a Sharpie in my bag. Well, whatever. You could take a little Sharpie. Right, do you have them?
If you want,
just so that I can show. Yeah, no, I always draw on my tools. That is my biggest recommendation for people is draw on your tools, because then you always know that your thing is going to be
for how far.
So I'm going to put this in here. I'm going to try to translate what I'm doing. So I'm going to hold it in like this. Oops. Well, we're just going to pretend. And I'm just going to draw a line. That's the line.
Okay.
The line of measurement.
So that's how far in you're going to put the prong.
Yeah. It's probably actually going to be less than that, but we got the general idea.
Yeah.
And so I'm using my thumb as leverage, and I'm just bending it down. And I'm not bending it all the way down. I'm bending it about 45 degrees.
Yeah.
Because this is the time that we get real zhuzhy. We get real zhuzhy. All right. So now I just have to bend these down. I'm just using my thumb as leverage. And I'm loving how well your phone is pulling the focus on class today. Can I ask what kind of phone is this?
This is like an iPhone that's
it's an old one, right?
Yeah, it's not even a newer one.
Fine. The newer ones don't
for some reason they're not good for video. Yeah, that's why we still use this older one.
Yep. Keep it as long as you can. I went back to using my kid's old phone.
Yeah.
When we upgraded him.
It's such a strange thing. All of a sudden everyone's like, I'm buying the new iPhone to help with my videos. And it's like, oh, bad choice.
Bad choice. So you can see I've only done a couple of them and it's already come in, right? So you don't even have to worry about that step.
Yeah, it's still, I can see it's still like straight where we haven't done anything yet, but it's.
Yeah, I don't know what I don't know why.
I guess maybe because you're having to hold it down while you do it. Yeah, it's just, it knows what you want.
Yeah. It has read my mind. And then this is the time where you're like, oh, did I make enough prongs? Is it going to work? And then this is where the zhuzhing comes in. So we said 12 prongs, so we already knew, but maybe you were a little bit off. Maybe you were like, I thought I needed, it's always better to do less prongs and add rather than do too many prongs and have to straighten, because especially with a German style wire, if you take out those serious bends, it's really going to create some weak spots on the wire. So you don't want to do that if you don't have to. But here I did pretty good, right? I'm pretty even. Everything looks pretty nice.
And I guess, how much space do you want between those last two prongs? Like,
you want the right amount of space.
Yeah.
How's that for an answer?
That's great.
You want
The
this
Meredith
much
amount.
You want an equidistant amount of space so that when these wires come together, and then we're going to bend them so that they're 90 degrees straight up to be able to make our bail, you want it to be about the distance between one of these. If you want it to be asymmetrical.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have one less prong here, and that would be okay too. Really
It's
to
more of a
hold
design
this in
choice.
place, 100% design choice. To hold this in place, you probably only need 4 prongs.
Yeah.
You might actually only need 3 prongs. I just like this look,
Yeah.
and I like the symmetry of it. I think it's a lot easier actually to do it equal.
Yep.
The same symmetrical all the way around with these prongs than to try to figure out, the spacing of 3 prongs and then having the wire in between. I actually think it's easier, especially as you're just learning how to do this, to do it this way.
Yeah.
Some others might disagree. All right. So here now we have 2 more things to do. Well, 3 more things before we finish this off. We have to bend the prongs down just a little bit more, each of them in turn. We have to make this bail so that everything comes together nice and neatly on the top. And then we also have to secure it on the back. Because right now, obviously it just comes
pop
right
out at the bottom.
So I like doing the prongs incrementally because it.
So wait, now you're doing it the full amount. Sorry,
I'm doing it just a little bit
just
more.
a little more. Okay.
Yep, just a little bit more. Remember, I said we were going to be real judgy.
Yeah.
Not judgy, judgy. So we're going to pull these down just a little bit more. And you can see it's pulling it in more than I want it to now. So I'm just going to tell that wire what I want it to do and move it back just a little bit. Okay. I'm going to pull these down. And you'll find that this German style wire is work hardening quite a bit. It's becoming pretty tough and pretty stiff. So just be aware of that. You don't want to over work harden it. If you work harden something too much, it actually goes to breaking.
Oh, okay.
But you don't want it, you just need to be aware that that's going to be happening.
Wait, and also before we secure that one in, can we just see it with the lab? I know it's smaller,
of course,
but I just just to know what we can imagine what this prong setting would look like with the gold. Or any color.
Well, boy, that's going to be pretty.
That looks great.
Why didn't we do that one, Rachel? I wanted to do the. Is it my fault? I wanted to do the buttons.
No,
I didn't know labs were on the table.
Well, that's because we just got this in Tucson. This is a fresh find. I didn't know we would have this.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
So, and you can see for the labs, you would need probably 1 or 2 less prongs.
Oh, but that looks great.
Yeah,
with that.
really, really pretty.
That one, and I like actually seeing that little hint of the gold all the way around.
Look at that Labrador
Wow.
essence.
Oh yeah, you guys, if there's any left, you got to check out some of the cabochons we have in the shop.
This is a really, really look at that. Look at that flare.
So
right there.
cool.
Mesmerizing.
Okay, thank you for indulging me.
Sorry, I'm still.
I know it's all right. You're like this is great for both of us.
Rachel made me take the lab off. So. Okay, so back to the point at hand. All right, so next step, we're going to bend these 2 wires, and again, we're just kind of eyeballing things, and it's going to work out. One is going to come straight up on this side, right angle, and one is going to come straight up on this side, right angle.
I think this has the most right angles I've ever seen in a piece.
Yeah, yep, 100%. And again, you can see how many times I kind of push it back in and see and make sure that that everything is coming in here well. And actually, it's funny. I did them both up at right angles.
Oh no, is that not it?
That was not it. So okay, so it could be if you were going to do like a basket weave or any other kind of bail.
Yeah.
Oftentimes when you do that, this is how you start.
Okay. For
right?
that kind of classic style.
Yeah. Or a, what do they call it? A rabbit bail.
Okay.
All different kinds of things. Both of them would come up like this. It's funny how you kind of go on automatic pilot sometimes.
No, this is helpful.
But you make that mistake.
Now we know. We all know.
And we also know how to correct it.
Yes.
Which is coming down like that. And then using, again, those, if you have a nylon jaw pliers or the nylon inner jaw pliers, like I'm showing here, you just kind of squeeze it out and through the wonder of wire, it's now.
Okay, so you only want
straight.
one side.
Yep. So one's coming up and one's going out. We're just going to do a wrap,
wire wrap,
a simple wire wrap. Yep. So now I'm going to take this, and again, things aren't perfect yet. It's where the zhuzhing comes in, and I'm going to wrap my one wire around the other wire twice, and I'm going to kind of hold everything in place as I do it. Let's see. I'm going to come up nice and close to the camera so that we can see what's going on. So I'm going around once, and I'm going around twice. Should I go around 3 times?
I don't know.
You tell me. We'll go around 3 times, just for funsies.
Cool.
Okay. Thrice. And you can keep going. You can do whatever you want here. And sometimes when I do a little wire wrap, I like to give it a little squish down there, just to make sure my wraps are really nice and aligned. And you can see how much wire I have left over. I always err on the side of cutting too much wire. Oftentimes people will try to conserve the wire, and I get that, but I find that every time I try to like, to push it, I always end up wasting my whole project.
Yeah.
So it's just a little word to the wise. This is not, we're not working in 24 karat gold wire. So excuse me, German style wire. If you want to do, cut a little bit more just to be safe, then sorry. All right. So now I always give a little squeezy squeeze on the ends of my wire to tuck them in. And now we can just go ahead and finish the top of this off just to get it out of the way.
Sure.
I just had a little bead here left over from the stringing. So this is one of my favorite techniques, is to do a wrap on the bottom, put a bead on, and a wrap on the top. If you're doing a briolet or, anything where you're bringing wires together at the top and you need to finish it off. Yeah. This is just a nice, clean way, I think.
Yeah, it actually makes it easier because then the wires that you're wrapping around from each end don't have to go on top of each other.
Exactly. Yeah, I think
secret
it looks like a little sloppy when you don't have a bead in the middle. So I'm going to hold this here at the top.
You're holding just right above the bead.
I'm just holding with my round nose pliers, obviously, right above the bead. I'm going to bend this over at a 90-degree angle. I'm going to then turn my tool. So my tool was down like this. And now I'm going to do, so my, the jaws are straight up and down. I'm going to pull this back over and toward me. And then the way that I make my wrap loops, I actually go from the bottom of the pliers. I'm sorry, from the top of the pliers to the bottom of the pliers. I switch my hands. People do this in different ways. This is how I do mine. I'm going to pull this back over toward myself. And then I'm going to, holding with my pliers, I'm going to push it around. I'm going to pull it back toward me.
Oh, cool.
Push it away. Pull it back toward me and push it away until that's nice and snug in there, and then snip it off. Yeah,
I don't usually leave my round nose pliers in while I'm wrapping, but because I just like clamp down on it with my other one, but I like how maybe that helps to keep the loop.
Nice whatever works. Yeah. And then I like to give my my loop just a little squeeze afterwards also to make sure everything is nice and in line, and tuck my tail in.
And we have our bail.
And now we have our bail. Nice. Super, super simple. All right. So now we have to come on over here to the back. Okay. And we have to secure the back. For those perfectionists out there who like a perfect back, this style might not be the one that you employ. There are ways. I just kind of, go back and forth and zip it up. If you want it to be a really clean and symmetrical back, you just take a little bit more care with it. So I'm using 26 gauge German style wire. Again, like I said, I didn't have any gold 26 gauge in my studio. So I grabbed this, but nobody's ever going to see it.
Yeah, it's on the back.
So it doesn't matter.
But actually, wait, it actually makes sense because these are silver backed. Wait, this was meant to be.
Maybe.
Because the front of the button is like golden.
Yeah.
But there's silver. This will actually blend in better.
It'll blend in better. Look at me doing something without thinking about it.
That's incredible.
Oh, here's the end. Okay. And so again, I took it out of the package. I had it in my little pack here, so I would remember. And this is probably another 12 or so inches of wire. And here you can add wire as you go along if you need to. You shouldn't really have to, but you don't want it to be too long because you're going to keep going back and forth, and that wire is going to work hard and then it's going to break. But again, none of this has taken very long at all, right? How long have we been at this?
45 minutes.
Yeah.
But we've also been chit-chatting a lot.
Yeah, and like re-demonstrating and re-talking about things. So I figure if it's something that takes you less than an hour to do, cutting it apart and redoing it is okay.
Yeah.
All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to secure the end of this wire right up over here. And then I'm going to start zigzagging back and forth, skipping a bar, I guess, each time. So I'm going to go from here to here to here to here to here to here, and then kind of back up again. Is there an absolute 100% way that you need to do this? No.
Okay.
You'll kind of see as I'm going along how I kind of figure it out as I'm going along. But the first thing that we need to do is just secure this guy underneath. So I like to use a nice long tail. I wasn't giving myself quite long enough tail for this. See, again, you want a big tail.
Yeah, you need extra.
So.
Yeah. No, we were just talking about that in our class with Danielle when we were doing wire work. It was like, yes, you could cut exactly the amount you need, but then how are your hands going to grab on?
Exactly.
This is handmade. Your hands need to be able to hold the wire.
All right, so I'm going to wrap this around 3 times the tail. And if it's easier for you to do the longer part, go ahead and do the longer part. And sometimes it's also good if you want to kind of grab with your pliers. If you're having a little bit of trouble bringing it around. I'm going to snip this. Can I pull this down a little bit?
Go ahead.
Okay,
sure.
Sorry about that.
No,
guys.
if you're able to work with less space.
Oh, 100%. I want to get nice and close in there.
Go for it.
It's easier than kind of
having
to hold it up. Okay, perfect. So again, if this wire was a little bit bent, you could take those nylon jaw
right up under
pliers.
The
yeah, so I got it. Nylon jaw pliers to get that nice and together. And so now I'm going to come. So if I came straight across here, it's not going to work out quite as well. So I'm going to just come down here. You just kind of want to look and see as we're zipping this up where it makes the most sense. Okay. And because I'm working with 26 gauge wire and it's kind of a longer piece of wire, you can see I'm guiding it with my fingers. And what's going to end up happening as I pull this, I'm not going to pull it so tight. I'm going to pull it just tight enough that everything becomes taut, but not bent out of place. And what's going to happen is these prongs are going to tighten against the front of my button, and everything is going to become nice and tight. So as we're doing this, things are kind of loosey-goosey, right? But as we do this, everything is going to come together, and then we'll have one last zhuzh. And everything will work out. All right, so now I've gone there and I'm going to come across here. I'm going to skip one and come to this one. Yeah, I think that's right. So I'm going to skip one bar.
Okay, so we're making kind of a wire net across the back.
Yeah, it's like I think it's called a corset.
Oh, okay.
Kind of an involvement.
Or when I think about the ties of the corset. Yeah.
All right. So I've come here and now I'm going to skip this one and I'm going to go through this one down here. So again, I want to make sure that as I'm pulling that wire through, it's not getting kinked up here. You see how it kind of wants to bend on itself. I'm not letting it. I'm going to put my finger there. I'm going to kind of run that through, make sure that that wire comes in as straight as it can be. And I'm going to pull this taut, but not tight. And I'm using my thumb. I'm bending that wire down. I'm really showing it where I want it to be. Could I have come right across here? Yeah, sure. Why not? But I'm just doing it so that I can get everything nice and tightened up. So now I'm going to come and I'm going to go through this guy right down here. And it looks like maybe, I don't know, maybe there's not quite enough space in here to get in here. I'm just going to kind of try to find that space. And I was able to find that space in the corner. So just kind of move your wire around. It's a very organic, very kind of letting the wire sometimes tell you where it wants to go. Kind of a technique back here. So let's see what happened here. It looks like my wire got a little janked up on something. So I'm just going to take my tool and I'm going to lift that wire up. And you see how it kind of got stuck down there. So again, lots of ways to kind of, you know, maybe you need to shake it a little bit, maybe not shake the camera while you're shaking it a little bit. And now I'm at the bottom, so it's time to go back up the top. And honestly, this isn't going anywhere. Yeah. So if you're a super minimalist and you just want to do one, I like going back up, makes it a little bit more secure. So now I'm going to come back up and I'm going to see where that wire needs to go across again. So I'm going to come on that
That's just one we skipped earlier.
Exactly. Make sure that wire doesn't get too kinked up on itself. And this wire is definitely getting some work hardening happening right now. And so I'm going to come across and I'm going to come across to this next one that I skipped right here on the side. And I'm going to come underneath. It's amazing how fast an hour goes when you're having fun, right?
It does not feel like almost an hour at all. I mean, I've just been like fascinated staring at what you're doing because this is just mesmerizing.
All right. So now I think even though this one has a wire again, I think I'm going to go back through one last time here, here, and here. Okay. It doesn't matter that there's already a wire there. It's where the wire is telling me it wants to go. So I'm going to come across here. Well, now the wire is saying, I don't want to do anything. Okay. So I'm going to pull it through here, give it a little straighten. Come back here. And you could, if you wanted to, and I have done it this way in the past, you could actually wrap the wire around a couple times. You don't really need to, though. Just kind of zigzagging back and forth is enough. But if you wanted to, there's no harm in wrapping it around. It's just, for me, this is not the part of the project that brings me the most joy. So I don't spend any longer on this part of the project.
Actually, before you put that wire all the way through, one thing I'm realizing, are you always going the same direction through these bars?
It's a really, really good question, Rachel. I don't think I am.
Okay.
And I don't think it matters.
Yeah. Okay.
Because sometimes I'm going through here, right? This way. This time I happen to go this way. Okay. I don't think it matters.
Yeah. Maybe folks will find one way is easier to prevent kinking or something, but either way will work.
Either way will work because really all you're doing is just, bringing the wire back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. All right. So now I think I'm going to go through this last one that doesn't have any through it. Yep. And then just like over here, I'm going to wrap it around a couple of times and then this part will be done. And you're a very good observer because I had been going through this way each time, but then that time I went over.
I'm glad we know that you can do it either way.
And again, I'm not pulling these super tight.
Yeah.
I am just pulling them tight enough because if you use this as an opportunity to get everything super tight, you could end up pulling things out of whack that you don't want to pull out of whack.
Yeah, I mean, if you keep pulling, you're gonna take the prongs off of the front.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So now I've gone 1, 2, 3. Let's go one more time. I think
you're such a wizard with wire.
This is amazing. I appreciate that. Thank you. It is nice of you to say.
So cool.
All right. So like that. And let's see, I think I did. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 over here. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 over here. So I'm going to go ahead and snip that off. And then I'm going to tuck this around so nothing is out and pokey. And just like before, I like just to give a little squeezy squeeze on that coil to make sure that everything is nice and together. And I didn't do that when we started. So I'm just going to come back and give that coil a little squeeze to bring everybody together. So
and if any of my wires here were like too loose, like there is, right? At least I know a trick that I do for other things is I just kind of like add a little kink in it.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
You are one step ahead of me.
Oh, you were going to back my
Yep. No, but that's great because you can see
No, I
this
wasn't
kink here is already there.
Yeah.
But I'm going to actually wait to do that because I want to see what's going on the front. So now I have to work on these on this is my final zhuzh.
Yes, it's time.
The final zhuzh to get all of these prongs, like this one is up and all, you know, whacked out of space. I need everybody to be nice now, right? So to do that, I'm going to use my my bent chain nose pliers. Okay. And I'm going to do, it's called burnishing. And it's a very small, subtle movement, and it's a little different each time. But the general idea is you want to rub or push the pliers against the prongs so that they go where you want them to go.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe you have to do it a couple times to bring everybody together, but you just it's kind of a rolling process. And these guys are a little bent up more than I want them to be. So I'm just going to use my tool to get these wires to lay nicely. And it's usually these top ones that get a little bit out of whack. You see, I just kind of brought that back together.
Now the whole thing is sitting, I think, closer.
And then I like to use my fingers for this.
Yeah.
Too. Just
your second best tool, you
said. My second best tool. They used to be my best tool until I started not being able to see anything anymore. And then I was like, the glasses are the most important tool. And then just like Rachel was saying, you want to come back here if you need to and give these guys, maybe you give them a little tighten up here.
How it was, but yeah, if you feel like your wire's a little loose,
you need a little bit more, and that is all of your zhuzhing, right? So I've zhuzhed my prongs, I've zhuzhed my back, I've zhuzhed my my front here, my bail, and then you're ready to do the stringing part of it, which can be anything. And Rachel sent me these gorgeous beads. Yeah. I just did a simple pattern through a clasp on. Yeah, we used some
Fancy-Facet Labradorite rounds and these little teal Druks with AB and those purple bronze spacers. And I just thought they the labs just pulled out the vitriol color. Like that matched really well.
Well, and that's one of the things that I love about these buttons is because there are so many colors going on in here and so many different things that you can pull out. And even with these cabs, there are so many colors in here. When you hit that Labrador essence, there's peach, there's gold, there's yellow, there's orange. There's just some beautiful tangerine undertones in addition to kind of the gray green of the stone. So you can take everything that's in here in this whole color palette and really expand it to a beautiful necklace to complement the wire wrapping that you've done.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is so okay. I have to get my hands on it. You guys, isn't this incredible?
Wow. So I like this too because it gives the stone, or in this case the button, the chance to shine.
Yeah.
So it is and it fades into the background while still being a nice part of the design and functional.
Yeah, functional and adding a beauty to it as well, because it reminds us of fine jewelry and of like a soldered piece of jewelry.
Yes, with no fire.
Yeah, this is a little safer for us. I like this option.
No fire, I know. I get made fun of a lot in my circles because I still, fire, it scares me.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm not comfortable with it. I need to do a little bit more practicing.
Well, you have to have the right environment, the right setup.
Yeah. Anytime I can make a cold connection is a time that I'm happy. So that's what we've done here.
This is so cool. Oh, wait. Can one of us should try this on? I can try it on.
Yeah, I already have. Well, you have a necklace
but
too.
I do. But this will look good, I think, on the navy blue.
I think so. Yeah. Here you go.
Let's see.
So pretty.
I have it on the right way. Yeah. Oh, this is perfect.
Oh, that is perfect. I love it.
Let me make this bigger.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Here we go. What do you all think?
I never tried it on that.
You never wore it.
Well, and that's again the thing
so
too. Like
funny.
I didn't actually measure it to make sure it was like with the right necklace.
Yeah. No, you made it perfect. At least for me, it's
really
perfect.
Nice.
I
All right,
love it.
perfect. Well, now you have something to wear tonight.
I do. Oh my gosh, you guys! I was wearing Brittany's piece earlier. Now I'm wearing Meredith's. Like
you have the best job in all of Tucson.
Like, this is better
People
than the
come
beads.
and make you
Give me
jewelry.
Well, I'll bring it all
I
back to
love
the
it.
shop. I'll share it with everyone, with the
Perfect.
team. Oh, this is fabulous!
Yay,
Oh my
I love
gosh!
it. Awesome.
Oh, and then I guess I just got to string up this one,
Mhm.
so that way.
What do you think you'll use for that one?
Ooh, I really love like the fuchsia pink tones in
Yeah.
here. So like, I think I might, bring in some like pink crystal Czech glass. You have that golden elements, maybe some hematite. I don't know. There's some option. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of gold and green.
Yeah.
Green and gold. And that kind
the teal
of
does look good with it.
There's a crystal pearl that has kind of a green with a gold shimmer to it. That's kind of what I'm drawn to right now as well.
So cool.
I see a design challenge.
Yes, there we go. I gotta finish the necklace. There's the challenge for me. Oh, this is great. Oops, wait, no, I didn't toggle it on. Fall off. There we go. Here we go.
Except you put it on backwards.
Oh, yeah, this time I did. Thank you. I'm glad you're here.
And I know because I didn't cut the shank off of the button. It looks a little weird.
I guess, yeah, it'd be an interesting design choice to wear it that direction.
Yeah, I would not suggest that design choice unless you do like a perfect weave on the back.
Yeah.
But that's why it's on the back. It doesn't really matter.
No, not
it's
at
going
all.
to be
Like
hidden.
this,
it's functional, not.
No,
not
this
beautiful.
isn't going to turn because if this turns, the whole thing twists. Yep. So yeah, that's staying put.
Yeah. Yay!
That's great. This is incredible. We went from that bead woven button last year. Now we have our wire work one. Like you were teaching us so many cool techniques. Like I'm gonna challenge you to come up with
my gosh, now I have to top it next year.
What's gonna be next year?
Well, luckily I have a year to figure it out.
You have a year to think about it. Yeah. And maybe this time I'll send you some gemmy cabochons to use. That could be fun to mix it up.
Yeah.
What material would you use next? I have no idea.
There's always something I have.
I'm sure. Yeah, cool. Oh, well, thank you so much for doing this with us.
This was wonderful.
Making us a part of your Tucson journey this week. We appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you. This was great. And we appreciate all of you as well.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining us. Check out all the links in the descriptions. You'll find the buttons and the lab cabochons that we launched this morning in our live sale. We do have one more live sale tomorrow. It's our last live sale in Tucson. And then we have to fly home.
Oh my gosh.
Get back to life. But like, I don't want the fun to end.
No, but you know what? In all reality, like what we do is pretty fun on a day-to-day basis.
That's true.
It's just nice that we're all together and we've had all this time to make all these memories together. And then we'll do it all again next year.
I know the bead community is so spread out. Mm-hmm. This is that one time where we all get to be together in person. And it's really nice. Special. So check out the details. Check out the German style wire. We've got lots of that. We do have some Beadalon tools in the shop, I know. So you can check those out. So well, thank you again. And we'll see you later, everyone. Bye.